when we started making this particular martini, everybody knows the history of the martini and everything, martini shell. A martini is traditionally assumed three things. It's assumed up, gin, and olives. That's what a martini is. You walk into a bar that knows what they're doing, you say, I want a martini, that's what you're going to get. The shape of the glass actually goes way back. Anybody know who Madame Pompadour is out of France? There was a cocktail glass called coupe, and the coupe was legendarily shaped after her breast. And so that's where that came from. And then fast forward to Prohibition, that's what cocktails were being served in. They were having a problem when they have raids, and again, this is legendary. I don't have all the facts to back this up, but they were having trouble dumping the drinks. So they took the coupe and they reshaped it to the martini shell. That's where the martini shell went to, is it was a quick exit for the beverage when the cops showed up. And so that's where it came. It comes out of a love of booze. That's where that shape comes from. It is also fantastic for being able to drink a lot and get a huge olfactory just whiff off the top of it, which is amazing. It's fantastic. Unfortunately today, martini means anything that comes in this glass. So that's essentially what it boils down to. So when you see martinis, you've got to really look at the ingredients on this one. It's across the spectrum. And that is one of the vodka things too that I was telling you about. That confusion really bothered me a lot. But this particular drink, what we were trying to do is we were trying to get some savory things involved in there. And when we first tried it, what I was doing was I was actually using blueberries and blackberries, and I was just pressing them or muddling them straight into here. And then I was adding balsamic vinegar to it, then the vodka, and then I was using fresh cracked black pepper on top of it. What we discovered was it makes the best vinaigrette you've ever tried. It's incredibly good. But it didn't taste like a cocktail. It tasted like a really good vinaigrette and a martini shell. So what we did was, and this was one of those just like little, organic conversations that winds up happening, was we're sitting there trying the blackberry basil lemonade, and we're like, that's it, that's the drink right there. So that's essentially how this entire hybrid wound up happening. This is an incredibly easy one if you have that blackberry basil lemonade. So all you're going to be doing is you're just adding this right here, and it's 2.5 right here. And then 1.5 of my favorite Venom vodka right here. And by the way, just a note to everybody who says a good bartender doesn't need a jigger. I am a huge advocate of our bartenders using jiggers because we work really hard on those recipes and we want to make sure that we get all those balanced flavors in there. On a Friday or a Saturday night, if you see somebody who has a million drinks being produced all at the same time and they're free pouring, that's what they're sacrificing. Is they're sacrificing that consistency in the recipe. And that's simply something that we're not willing to do. So that's one of the things that I'm very proud of.
So are you supposed to be able to time it though? 1, 2,
There's a couple of, and see, that's one of the things is you've got 4 different types of pour stouts. You've got 3 different measures of counting on there too. You've got people bumping you. You've got air bubbles. You've got different viscosities in your liquors is one of the other things that's a huge component of that. And then as I move into this, by the way, I use a 1/2 teaspoon of what we use on our spring chicken salad, and that's a balsamic glaze. You can use a balsamic vinegar, that's absolutely fine if you do so. Up this recipe to a teaspoon as opposed to a 1/2 teaspoon. I've done it with real balsamic. It's amazing, but it's $150 for one of those teeny tiny bottles. It really is worth it if you happen to get some balsamic. Make this recipe with it. Don't buy the balsamic just for the recipe. Yeah, all you're doing is just simply, and you can take a look here real quick. It's just like the Epicac you give your kid right beforehand. So that's all it is. And then all I'm doing just to get it off is I'm just giving it a quick stir and add it to it. So when it comes out, it should come out nice and clean. And that way you know you've gotten all of that in there. And again, this is one of those things where if you happen to have a tin, feel free to shake. You absolutely do not. I stir on my martinis personally. So then what you do is you take your little shell right here. Now I happen to have a strainer right here. Again, you do not need one to be able to separate the ice. There is a very old and very ancient bartending trick and technique where all you have to do is use a glass, strain out the ice, and it's just as easy as anything else.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I started drinking at the age of 2. So about a year and a half, I guess, right now.
Watch Thomas, he's
No.
coming.
Oh,
Open
you are
it.
fantastic. Thank you, Thomas, very much. Welcome, my friend.
Yeah, but it's full.
Okay, you got that? Okay, now, one of the things, and this is one of those where you're gonna try the salmon skin today too, right?
Yes.
Okay, trust me. The pepper adds this wonderful olfactory scent to it, and so that's all we're doing, is we're just doing a little table grind on top of this. And now what you've got is you've got that umami, which we discussed in 1985 is what that savory component is. Now the entire thing blends in your mouth too. So you've got that wonderful little spicy component. The one problem we had was honestly getting the right grind on the pepper, because you don't want to chew on a piece of pepper. This actually works beautifully for you, it really does.